supporters and others about who we really are, about what we've done, and there have been accusations against us, things that have been very troubling, things that do not represent who we truly are. And so instead of us, spending time going back and forth one-on-one with everybody and wasting a lot of time, we want to have a public conversation with three individuals specifically. And that is Vanessa Rubel, who was one of the first people to bring us into the Women's March, Evie Harmon, who we met when we first got here, and Mercy Morganfield from Washington, D.C., who came later. These three women have lied on us. No doubt they have lied on us. And we want to have these conversations in public, not behind closed doors, but in public.
Trouble in Women's March? Wow. This shit was like the writing on the wall. It was predictable. Needless to say, but let's get into this Women's March bag. So there's Trouble in Paradise, and we're going to talk about that. These three amigos, Linda Sozar, Tamika Mallory, and I constantly kept calling her a Mexican chick because I didn't know her name, but I'll do her due diligence and call her by her name, Carmen Perez. But let's talk about it. The dismantling of the Women's March. So, women be on here talking about black men caving for Becky too much and whatnot. But I'm like, I've said this since Nate Parker's situation. Ain't nobody caving for Becky more than black women. Like, y'all cape is on a whole nother level. Despite all the interactions y'all have had and what Patricia Arquette said at the Oscars that year and all these different, things that happen in the media, y'all still cape for them. Right, even after the 53% of the one for the Trump, right? But the lady you see on your screen, her name is Vanessa Rubel. She's actually one of the white women who originally started the Women's March, who, they fell on the back and they let the three amigos, Tamika Mallory, Linda Sozar, and Carmen Perez, be the face. But there's trouble in paradise, and we're going to talk about this trouble in paradise. Alright, so the Women's March leadership has been accused of anti-Semitism. Many of the local chapters are disassociating themselves from the national organization. A bombshell report in the tablet depicts pervasive anti-Semitism amongst the Women's March leadership. The National Women's March vehemently denies allegations, but one of its PR persons made a bizarre demand of journalists who shared the tablet's article on Twitter. Tamika Mallory, Linda Sozar, Carmen Perez, amigos, have challenged their former colleagues, one of these white women you see on the screen right there, who was the original creator, to a public debate about what's going on, right? And they accused these three white women of lying on them. A growing number of local and state chapters have disassociated themselves from the national organization. Whew. There's a problem in leadership of the Women's March, and it's leading to splintering of the movement nationally. Although a reported piece in the tablet last week depicted the Women's March as an organization whose very first official meeting included anti-Semitic tropes spoken by those still in the organization leadership. Some of these have been widely propagated by Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, such as Jews were proven to be the leaders of the American slave trade. Now, hence why I did the video in defense of Tamika Mallory. Don't get it twisted, I'm not a fan of her, but this is why I made that point, because her not disassociating herself from him publicly was going to have an issue. Like, that's just common sense. You knew it was going to happen. And it's damn near about to blow up their whole little movement because, it is what it is. That's why I give her credit for not backing down, despite it's put her in a messed up position. Several witnesses, including women of color, and I'm assuming that that's another organization of black feminists and liberal whatnots, corroborated allegations that later meetings among the Women's March leadership also included anti-Semitic attacks on Jewish women in the room. This included an accusation leveled at one of the Jewish organizers, Vanessa Rubel, the woman you see on your screen, that your people hold the wealth. So again, these people have kind of turned complimenting Jewish people or giving them credit for what they've done and built as an insult on attack. The story by Leah McSweeney and Jacob Seal details how Tamika Mallory, Carmen Perez, and Linda Sosar and Bob Bland, that is this Becky. Wait, where's she at? There you go. Bob Bland, that's her. Bob Bland solidified their roles as the collective public face of the movement that was actually far more decentralized than the public was led to believe at the time of the historical January 2017 march across the country, at historic march protesting the inauguration of President Donald Trump, which, from what I was told, it wasn't supposed to be a protest against Trump, but whatever. Where there was 3.6 million to 4.6 million people that marched in cities across the U.S., but the Women's March their brand grew in structure and status. The organization brought in millions of dollars in donations, as we all a fortune from branded merchandise. The Mercury financial management of the organization has come under scrutiny. So they saying they still in the bag. Also criticized is the relationship between the leadership of Tamika Mallory and Linda Sosar in particular, the two Muslims. Oh no, Tamika Mallory's not a Muslim. Stop. So, forget all that. Whatever. It's pretty clear what happened. It's trouble in paradise, but just give my breakdown of the whole situation, right? So, and let's elaborate on what I mean by sisters be caping for Becky. So, this whole Women March thing, you had 3 of the white women who had their own thing. It was a national thing. It was just about the march. It wasn't as big as they turned it into, but it was about the march. And these women, social media, fake feminists, shea butter, Twitter, all these chicks started complaining about these white organizations not being inclusive enough to quote unquote women of color. So boom, after they begged Becky to let them in their organization, Becky's was like, fine, cool, you can join. Which I thought was strategic. I don't know if they were thinking that way, but in my mindset, because it's like, yo, so now you got the Mexican chick. Carmen looked kind of good too. You got the Mexican chick, you got the sister, and then you got the Arabic chick, the Muslim, whatever. And they're now making this the face of Trump's, an anti-Trump thing, when allegedly the original march was not about that, but it by default turned into that just simply by who you made the face of it. A Muslim, a Mexican, and a black chick, right? So they let them in their group, and I'm saying strategically, it let these women be the face of Trump's, the anti-Trump thing, as opposed to these white women being the face of it. So it kind of gave them cover. Now, Tamika, as the article said it, she made it hot. She gave it swag. She already had like the streets, and she already been doing like activist stuff, anti-gun stuff, gang violence stuff. So she already had that whole bag already in her. And then, I don't know, I guess when mixing it with the other 3 women and mixing it with this national organization, she blew it up. The merchandise, all that stuff. Now, what was else in the article was the issue is that everything was cool, I think, until the Farrakhan thing. Like, that's what really boils down, was when Linda Sosar and Tamika went to the annual thing that Farrakhan does every year, and that just popped off everything right there. But these women had no intentions of including these women or whatever, right? In the beginning, it wasn't about them, wasn't the organization, wasn't their group. They begged and pleaded with Becky to give them an opportunity to use their platform, and they did. Now, I don't think these white women believed that these sisters was going to take it to the next level. And, it's like these women, the original leaders made it a hot line, where Tamika and Linda and Carmen made it a hot song, right? And it just got popular attention. Now, this is my issue with the young millennial fuckity fucks who say shit like, we're going to destroy patriarchy and white supremacy from within. I'm like, what army and what resources, right? We're going to do it from within, right? But this is what you saw, an attempt to be done, kind of, because Tamika, Boyce always says you can't go into someone else's house and change on their furniture. That's what Tamika was trying to do. She was trying to make change around the furniture. And I'll correlate this to with the NRA, right? And anybody can join the NRA if they want to, whatever. I'm just saying, like, in general, the reason why I would understand the people who were part of that were apprehensive of black folks joining is because black folks don't have the luxury of being one-issue voters, and when they come, they bring all the other liberal bullshit with them. And even though these are progressives, right, allegedly or whatever that means, and according to Major Jackson, when the progressives comes, that means black people start getting fired. I'll talk about that at a different time, but that's what that really means. But even though they have a leftist ideology, Tamika's still trying to bring things into the group that they might not have a concern for. So you coming in something that they already built and maintained structure, yeah, you added to it, but now you're trying to rearrange furniture, and these three hot women said no. Like, just like when people say that they can come into an organization and turn it around and flip it and do what they want to do, the people who originated the organization can say, well, we're going to take our bag, take our national brand with us, or we'll let you keep it and we'll bounce. And that's what it seems like the three women are doing. They're saying like, yo, the one chick put out the hit piece article saying like, yo, be careful who you marching behind, right? Because it's trouble in paradise. So they're not rocking with them no more. But this whole situation was like predestined to happen. Like, it was predestined to happen. One of the issues was Tamika said something to one of the owners about, or the original, about how y'all people got all the money, and you see it in the media now with, even to articulate, if you say globalist, like white liberals and people, Jews have made it to say, if you even say globalism or any of that stuff, you're automatically being considered an anti-Semite, which is stupid, don't even make sense. But even critiquing or congratulating or acknowledging how the Jews run Hollywood, the banks, whatever, all the money, like, that's turned into an insult and a bad thing, whatever. So Tamika was up in that meeting saying stuff like that, and they've used that against them, and it's gonna work against Tamika's favor, because I'm sure she did say those things, because we believe those things, right? But it's just weird how this whole situation play out. And it's just odd how, like, you had black women who were, some online, I guess I gotta find the link, but this is a sister who went in on why she would not participate in the Women's March. And there were other sisters who said, no, we don't want to do that, we don't want to join with their program, whatever. But, it's about being allies, right? But to me, this Charlotte explains why all this kumbaya, intersectionality stuff is bull. People operate off of incentives. People should do things based on specific tasks and agendas, and you bounce back this idea of kumbaya, right? Because again, you've had a lot of people go in on black men for being a part of MGTOWs and whatever, MRAs, whatever, despite the black community not having anything to offer an alternative to for those issues. But like I said, most men should understand, like, yo, when it comes to issues, whether it's the bill that's in Chicago right now for joint custody for fathers, or not even for fathers, is a bill that's intended for men, but it's going to benefit whoever the custodial parent is. You work all across the aisle. It's a black Democrat male and it's a Republican who are leading the bill in Chicago, right? Black female trying to shut it down. So I'm saying, you work on task and you get out, right? You can have a common interest. My common interest with NRA members is I love guns and I don't want no more restrictions and blah, blah, blah. I live in New York. That's enough said. That's all it is. But for whatever reason, people think that it has to go deeper than that and be more than transactional. And that's when you get into trouble, because we don't all agree on a lot of shit. I'm talking about even within the community, we don't agree on a lot of stuff. So how you try to break bread and cross cultures and cross income brackets and all that stuff and put it in one big bubble. And that's what I'm saying. When you have those big ass tents, there's a lot of craziness going on in there. That's like Tamika Mallory came at the NRA, which I don't know if the rest of the women in the organization was cool with that or whatever, but she brought a lot of different people with her with that, right? Like a lot, like she's saying, this is not about an anti-gun, but you were marching with moms against guns. Like they were at the rally with you on your behalf. Y'all shared a common interest, and it's not a good look. So you just bring all these different people into your organization, and boom. Now, just suppose this. Compare this to Tawana Brawley or whatever. I think that's the lady name who originally started Me Too. So she started Me Too, and then the white women, co-opted it, took it, snatched it, said it's ours, and turned it to some Time's Up. And I thought that was disrespectful as shit when Oprah invoked the name of the sister who was raped by the 6 white men and her husband was beat up. Like, I didn't like that at all. Like, that was mad disrespectful for Oprah to do that. If anything, Oprah should have used her own rape and molestation as an example. But using that, sister, like, that was, the justice system failed, the police system, everything was wrong in that system. That was not what is happening in Hollywood with these Beckys exchanging roles for some hotel rooms late at night with people they shouldn't be in a hotel room late at night with. I don't think that's a fair comparison or even putting it in the same context. But Oprah did that in her Time's Up Me Too speech, right? But the lady who originally started Me Too, she started. Now she's crying that Becky stole her stuff. And in this situation, you have Becky's who originated it saying, well, y'all trying to take over our stuff. And again, these are examples of y'all caping with Becky and for Becky, and it's backfiring on y'all in both situations. Now she's up here, Tawana Brawley, I think her name is. She's upset on some Drake shit. She's mad that they not giving her the credit she deserves, and she's not being the face of the movement. But you started an organization that had validity. It was about actual molestation and rape within the black community. Black women stole it from you, you took it. Same thing with Black Lives Matter. We know how that started. It was actually in St. Louis, a bunch of brothers who had movements Stop the Violence first, and it morphed into a Black Lives Matter thing. But then, they took it. It was a hot line. Then the 3 lesbians made it a hot song by making a hashtag. And their real agenda was nothing to do with black men being killed by police. Their agenda was some matriarchal, anti-black male bullshit. Unless we're dead. Other than that, they cool with us. But they used the death of black men to promote some feminism, lesbianism, transgender bullshit, right? So, just lessons to be learned. Just gathering all that in and seeing how these things work and how these big, huge movements, the only fate is for them to crumble. Like, they're not meant to last long. That's why, again, I say every transaction should be all relationships should be transactional. You are focused on specific issues and you get what you need and you get out. And then you might be beefing with the next issue, you might not. It is what it is. But I'm not anti-ally, but I'm not foolish enough to think it's more than what it is. And it seems that a lot of sisters be thinking stuff is more than it should be. Like, you really trying to come into an organization and completely make it about something they probably don't even give a damn about. And now, see what happens. There's been a lot of chapters that I've already pulled out. You've had a lot of people, accusing people of stealing money and all types of crazy stuff is going on. That's just my thought. This whole situation played out the way I thought it would. And it's amazing how on 1 minute you got one of the biggest marches in Washington ever, 4 million women, and then it didn't last 2 years. It ain't last 2 years. There you go with women leading. Oh yeah, no disrespect to the queen, but the lady name was Ray Taylor. That is the woman who Oprah told the story at the Oscars or wherever, where she kind of horribly made the correlation between that situation and what happens in Hollywood with these white women going to hotel rooms, exchanging sex for roles and whatnot, or favors for roles. But that was her. And again, I think Oprah would have been better using her own story, her own rape by her family members, whatever, had a baby, had all that stuff, than invoking her into these white women stuff, right? That was just dumb. And Tawana Burke, whatever, yeah, you made it a hot line, but they made it a hot song. They stole your whole shit, and then they're not even trying to really give you credit for it. They dragged you around a couple shows and whatnot, but apparently that wasn't enough for you. I don't know what you think you're going to get out of it, but these things were inevitable to happen. Now, what you would think that would happen with Tamika and maybe Carmen, depending on where she go, because I don't see her getting all the heat like Linda and Tamika are getting. It would make sense that Tamika and Carmen might link up and do something on their own. Yeah. See what happens with that? Or, because I'm just watching Osei Sunday Night podcast, and they're talking about black people doing things without white folks. And when you think about it, most of these black organizations and institutions started by white people, are funded by both sides. Right? I remember watching how black people were mad that Clarence Thomas was getting into the African American Museum in Atlanta. And I'm like, yo, you realize more Republicans donated money to the museum than Democrat. Like, more wealth came from them And then all the black entertainers, like there's like a list of donors and names and how much people have got. So again, it's weird too, like people will say like they jumped on it with the whole Candace Owens and Charlie thing, whatever, and how you not free if you don't fund your own shit. But damn near every black organization that leads to the left is funded by not black people. In fact, Democrats and Republicans, white, fund a lot of these black movements. The Koch brothers, Robert Murdoch, all these boys, they all got their hands in the pot. So it's just weird how I saw how everybody jumped out the bag with the, man, you're not gonna get no respect because y'all don't run your own stuff, y'all black Republicans. But what was that energy for damn near every single black organization that's out there now? It's funded and controlled by white money. All right, that's my video for now. I might be back.
Other inauguration that actually had the highest turnout. So we are super excited and know that this is the beginning of a huge movement that will hold not just this president and this country accountable, but countries all across the globe.
But this was also the largest protest at one time in American history.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's amazing. I think we all knew the potential was there, but truth be told, you had people who voted for Trump. We know this. We had people who voted for Trump who were there on Saturday. And there's a whole lot that can be said about that. There, for black women who we turned out, we know who we turned out for.
Black women voted 94% for Hillary Clinton.
Yes. And we know we had the betrayal of that 53%.
You meaning white women?
Meaning white women. That betrayal.
You can go ahead and say
it
on a black show.
Yes, no, absolutely. Betrayal of white women, the 53% who turned out and voted for Donald Trump, and yet still showed up for our march. I think it speaks to the understanding that this is not someone who is going to represent women's rights. Now, why people chose to vote for him in a way that speaks against their interests, I will never understand. But
Monique Presley, Monique Presley's attorney.